Hey guys, Jeremy Perez here with Twisted Oaks Customs, and I'm going to give you the 5 most common questions that people will ask you, because they've asked me in the past 10 years the same general 5 things about your woodworking business. And if you're just getting started, you have to be prepared to answer these things. All right, let's go. So now question 1, without fail, is how long have you been into woodworking? How long have you had your business? How long have you been making the product that you've been making? And I will tell you, without fail, I would tell you that there are guys that I've met that have been into woodworking for 10, 15, 20 years, and they're still just mediocre okay in what they're doing because their standard isn't as high as other standards.
And you are one pathetic loser.
It's not a common thing. It's out there. There are people who just have a low standard because they use low quality products, and they only have so much time and patience for whatever it is they're making that it's that good enough kind of perspective that makes them think that they're sufficient enough and okay at woodworking.
And you know what? They think I'm awesome.
But on the flip side, I have met guys who have been into woodworking for a year, if not less, who are doing absolutely great products out there, cutting boards and signs and flags and you name it, just furniture in general. And they are so good.
I got this thing that I know I'm good at, that everyone in my life, expects me to turn into a career.
So much respect for what they're doing and appreciation, and just they're very particular, and that can be good and a bad thing because it's it's analysis by paralysis or paralysis by analysis, however you want to put it. It can slow people down, and of course you lose time. But it's also a learning process, and I've been in this since 2014, so you're talking just over 10 years now, and I will admit I am not good at a lot of things. I've narrowed it down to, I started off at JP's Custom Woodwork, and then I was challenged to make a flag. Long story short, I was Twisted Oaks Flag Company, and I just recently transitioned to Twisted Oaks Customs. So with that being said, answer those questions of longevity with confidence, and have your phone out, your TikTok, your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube, whatever social media you have, or just pictures in general, just to establish that whatever time you're doing, this is the standard that reflects the time that you've been into woodworking. Okay, so second question I get, of course, it's a common question, right? Is what do you make? And some people will obviously want business right off the bat, and they'll say everything and anything, but I would at least hope that if you're into woodworking at this point, you're just getting started, you're started making stuff for yourself in your home, for whatever the case may be.
I do what I want.
I started off, I went on Craigslist, I was looking for some Arandadak chairs, or Arandadak chairs, or however you call it. I can't even spell it or say it. Either way, it's those chairs that lean back for outdoors. I saw a guy selling them on Craigslist for $60 for a set of 2 of them, and they were made out of 2x4s, and I just could not. It was $60, and I couldn't fathom paying for those 2x4s that were all just easily put together. I was like,
You cheap bastard.
I know I can do this. Long story short, I made them, fell in love with the miter saw, the woodworking in general, and I started making other furniture. I didn't want to exactly just make everything and anything. I just started making stuff for the house that I needed, and I had no idea what I'm doing. 10 years later, I still don't know that much, but I know a little bit more. And eventually at work, I was actually challenged to make an American flag, because by that time I was actually giving this guy advice like I knew what I was talking about, on what he should be doing with his American flag that he was working on. And it was kind of funny because he said, hey, make your own and get back to me. And so I was like, well, I already had the very limited tools at that point to go ahead and get one started. And I'll hopefully show you in this B-roll here what my first one looked like, which was, compared to the ones that I made afterwards. I was very proud of it, and I sold one right after I posted it on Facebook for my first $300.
I'm rich beyond my wildest dreams.
And it really made me narrow it down to okay, I just want to do flags for now because this is what's selling. This is what sold, at least. So that's what sparked the fire for Twisted Oaks Flag Company. But anyways, so you don't want to say everything and anything. You want to specialize in one or two certain things. That way you get really good at that product, because if you try to accomplish everything, you'll just be familiar and good enough to put something together. But if you make 10 things of the same thing, that 10th one will be far more better than the second and the third one. But if you make 10 different things, all separate, they're all going to be the same level of crap that you've made in the first go round. All right? Let's go. Okay, question 3. How long does it take? Now, that's a very easy question to answer. It's a loaded question. It's all dependent, of course, because are you making a large dining table for 8, or are you making a coffee table? Are you making a cutting board? What is it? Okay. There's that term, fake it till you make it, right? And when people would ask me these questions, I would give a very broad answer, because it buys you time. You don't want to give them like a 1 week turnaround, because that puts a lot of pressure on you. And so one thing I did, fake it till you make it, right? I just would always tell them, like, well, I got a lot of projects and other customers ahead of you, but say 3 to 4 weeks, and it was just a white lie.
Don't lie to them!
They were my own personal projects, but nobody has to know. Or I did have maybe one customer ahead or no customers. It's just one of those things where it actually gives that possible customer an idea that you have others or other orders, other customers ahead of them, which makes it look like you're turning and burning, which you may or may not be doing.
No, probably not.
I just played that psychological game and made it look like I was already established and good and confident and making money and making all sorts of products and had all sorts of customers in mind, and I really did not. But I felt like if I just said that out loud, that it would at least establish some kind of confidence in me to get things knocked out pretty quick, and actually did.
Good, Art. Good job.
And so that's what I would do. I'm not an expert at so many things, but that's one thing that I've been really good at, is actually getting ahead of schedule by telling them a certain time, 3 to 4 weeks, maybe even 4 to 6 weeks, and definitely being ahead of schedule, because that will in turn actually make them want to order more, knowing that you're technically quicker than you say you are. All right, so hopefully that one helps. Okay, so question 4 is probably my favorite question of all the questions, is what makes you different? What makes you stick out? What makes you separate from all the other woodworkers out there? Because apparently there are a lot of them, and I guess they're growing by the numbers. So one thing that I stuck out with right off the bat is I used metal and wood.
It's so cool.
I had a industrial kind of want to go ahead and design those kinds of things with that style. I like that style. It was rough, it was masculine, it was bold, it was hard to do, hard to replicate, because back in the day of 2015, 16 and on up, you see a lot of guys that were doing basically either all wood flags or all metal flags, but you didn't really see the combination of both. And I love that industrial look, so that's kind of what made me stick out compared to the others, as well as it's hard to duplicate. One of the cringe things that I couldn't stand at the beginning of my woodworking journey was that people would see my work and say, hey, I've seen that before, or that's very familiar. Oh, I've seen something like that. I hated that. I absolutely hated that, because I wanted to be unique. And the second thing that I couldn't stand was that some guys would say, I could make that.
I sure can.
And so I had those things sitting in the back burner of my mind, like, I want to make something that you haven't seen before, and 2, I want to make something that you can't easily replicate. And I did that. I think I accomplished that. I will tell you this, and it was a real good compliment. My ex-girlfriend used to call me the trendsetter, because I would post some flags on Instagram, and then some guys would kind of mimic or try to do the same design or hit me up or tag me or something like that. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I miss her. Gosh, she called me trendsetter. I love it.
Please stop it. Please stop it.
Anyways, so I was just.
Are you all right? You don't look so good.
That's what you want to do. That's what you want to stick with. You want to go ahead and be unique in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, they're just going to go on to the next woodworker. because you're no different, and you don't want to do that. You want to stick out. You want to be different in some way, shape, or form. Brand yourself. Make yourself a cool brand, a cool logo, cool name. Mine's Twisted Oaks Customs, and it was Twisted Oaks Flag Company for so long, and that was great for me. But I got asked to make a lot more things in the 1 year that I've already been doing this alone. So that's why I changed it to Customs, and I was Army, so I had to stick with OD Green. All right, guys, before we get to the 5th question that you're gonna have to be prepared for in your woodworking business, I would like to ask you if you could subscribe and like this channel. If any of this information has become valuable to you, then I would appreciate it, because there's gonna be a lot more cool stuff coming up. All right, so question 5, do you have a card? And I'll tell you what, it's a generational question. Some are old school and new school. It's a controversial question, I guess you could say. But whenever you have a business card, it basically shows how prepared you are.
Be prepared for anything.
And a lot of people can actually respect and appreciate if you do have one, because getting out the phone or finding a pin and your phone goes out of battery, or you don't have a pin, for exchanging information and expecting to just type your stuff up right there, it's kind of unprofessional.
But you're being real unprofessional right now, Ted.
But if you actually have something physical, substantial to your name, and you actually have a quality card, because I don't know about you, but me personally, if somebody gives me a business card and it's a cheapy one, that's real flimsy, it's like, I don't even want to. Like, this is how much respect you have in your own business. It's like, you're giving me a 22-cent card, okay? I actually make my own out of aluminum. I have my CNC machinery here.
Good for you and your father.
And yeah, it takes me almost 6 to 8 minutes per card, front and back. But whenever I give my card out, people usually have this wow factor, like, oh wow, this is really nice. And I'm like, that gives me the opportunity to say, you should see the work I put into everything that I do. And so it's like, if they have a quality card, if you have a quality card, then it will at least reflect the quality of work that you do, or the self-respect and or both of what you do and how you do it. So if you have this much respect and quality in your business cards, surely your woodworking will mimic and reflect that same standard. So I would definitely invest in yourself and get some awesome business cards. Metal, wood, you make your own, or just high quality Vistaprint, whichever you may be. There's also my metal business card that I will leave in the link below that actually got me started, and I loved handing those out. Yeah, they're a little pricey, but you know, if you can just make one awesome sale off one of those cards, then you get all your money back on all those cards and some. So I would definitely invest in that, and you can have your logo, just your logo, and you, of course, you're gonna have your social media on there, your name, your number. And if you have a website, cool. Mine has veteran owned on the back. Make sure it's right and tight and it's good to go. And if you have a cheap one, get rid of it, tear it up, and you know, but at least have something physical in hand ready to go. Because if you don't, and you say you have a business, it kind of like, it makes you questionable. Like, do you really even have one? I mean, who has a business and no business card? That's kind of where it's at this point. So I usually have some in my truck ready to go, a few in my wallet every time, especially if I'm going to big events. So make sure you have something ready to go with your logo on it, or your name or number. That way, at least you look the part, act the part. All right. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.